everybody's shared a lot of tactical stuff, but I think when it comes to content, this is one of the most important things that I teach my students. By the way, I don't know if you knew this. My personal brand has actually allowed me to teach at Indiana University and Rutgers University, content marketing. Big Ten, yeah, go Big Ten. But anyways, what I teach them is when it comes to content, the over 10 years I did in the Army, I learned a couple principles. The first principle is KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Second principle that I learned is how to create content, believe it or not, in the Army. And that is tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you told them, tell them what to do next. Doesn't matter your format on content, video, written, any other form, those always work. Tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you told them, tell them what to do next. That's the formula. You do that, you're good to go.
Well, on that note, we talked about how to leverage digital platforms to build your personal brand. We talked about all the various social media networks and how we've gotten our start or built our tribes on those social media accounts. We talked about content creation, telling our story, consistency and authenticity are a major part of that process. We also outlined some frameworks, some hacks, best practices, things like that. And now I want to talk about how to monetize our personal brands, turning our personal brands into an actual business. Give me some insight or examples on how you, Melinda, turned your personal brand into a successful business.
Well, for one, the whole reason why I got on social media was because I had written my book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 months. And then the market crashed and my book got bumped 18 months. And so for me, at first it was like, well, what am I going to do? And then a friend of mine was like, look, if I were you, I would start publicizing that book like it was coming out anyway. You know, we had 18 months to build my author platform. And that's what we did. And we did it mostly through blogging. And then we did it through my Twitter chat that I did on Twitter for 10 years called Small Biz Chat. So Small Biz Chat became so popular that I was able to get corporate sponsors to sponsor it. So that was like my first taste at influencer marketing. And then from there, I started getting calls from brands to do corporate brand deals. Like I think I was one of the I probably was one of the first influencers to like make money like that on the internet. Over the years, I mean, I probably worked with 150 different corporate brands doing anywhere from consulting to actually just being an influencer and spokesperson for their brand. So that was something that happened, but it also bolstered my marketing consulting firm that I had for 25 years. So we started doing social media strategy. Then we started doing influencer marketing strategy. Then we just evolved into full-scale customer acquisition, customer retention strategy. But one of the things that we did was we niched in small business. So we only do what's called B2SMB marketing. I don't do B2B or B2C. I only target brands that target the small business market. Small business market is pretty big. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies that want to sell to small business owners. It turned into an amazing niche for us. And my Small Biz Lady brand ended up being an incredible lead magnet because people would call me about Small Biz Lady, and then I would get to tell them about my marketing consulting firm. So we like to get two checks. You know, we get paid on both sides of the deal. We'll pay us for strategy, and I'll be a part of your execution plan too. So that's pretty much how we work that.
Yeah. What about you?
One of the first things that I had to learn was my client lifespan. So again, being a therapist, I did like a women's conference or something like that. And I learned nobody wants to talk to the therapist in public. So I never did an event like that again. It was a cheap lesson. It wasn't terribly expensive. It was a relatively cheap lesson to learn, like, oh, this is not the place for you. So understanding client lifespan helps me to understand that I can put the content on social media, and there's going to be 3 to 6 months of people just watching me before they actually decide to become a client. Because, of course, my first bread and butter is one-on-one therapy. So understanding client lifespan so that I understood what I was doing and how I was investing and how long it was going to take before I saw a return on said investment. So understanding my client lifespan was really important. And then when quarantine started, just like lawyers, they ask lawyers to do things pro bono, social workers, we kind of have the same thing. When you see that there's a crisis, you offer your services pro bono just to help the community. So when quarantine started, I started the happy hour. It was a weekly webinar. It was supposed to be a 4-part series just to kind of give people a little encouragement, just something to talk about their mental health while we were in this, crisis. And that was when I thought quarantine was going to be a few weeks. And of course, quarantine was forever. And so I ended up doing that once a week, 60-minute webinar with brand new content every single week for a year. And we recorded every single one and we keep it in what we call the vault. So now there's 52 different topics of me teaching for 1 hour. And from that, people started reaching out and I started doing more virtual teaching, which I still have contracts now 4 years later with a lot of these people. And that created passive income because I set it up so that you could purchase the replay. So now there's 52 different topics that you can turn around and go buy the replays. And I don't have to actually do anything. I've already done the work. I've already recorded it and it's in a cloud ready to go. And then another thing that I really wanted to create was different touch points because not everybody either wants to work with me for one-on-one or can't afford it, or maybe they're out of state because I'm only licensed in the state of California. And so I have the Therapy is a Lifestyle Wellness Weekend that I do. And, we have sponsorships for that. We have a 1-day workshop that we do on Saturdays from about 9 to 3. And then we do Sunday brunch at the Palos Verdes Golf Course, or the Los Verdes Golf Course. And what it did is it created, of course, different income streams, but also different touch points so people can have access to me and my knowledge base and, whatever I have going on in different formats.
Nice.
Awesome. What about you, Chad?
Yes. My monetization is different. So I was a co-founder of a company. We started out as Slingshot SEO. We ended up going from 7 employees to 135 employees. We rebranded the company to Relevance. We were the first online publication to write about content distribution and promotion. So there's all kinds of content marketing blogs out there, how to create your content. But what we focused on was how to promote that content because nobody was doing it. So we found our niche. And we actually ended up selling the company. We had an exit. I was fortunate to have an exit. And we sold the company to a company in India. And it took like 3 years off and went to the Dominican Republic and learned some Spanish. But yeah, all of my personal branding has been to develop and grow the business that I'm in. I don't have my own business. I'm a partner and have partners. And that's how I've always approached business. That's just my thing. I'm pretty risk averse. And by the way, I have a degree in entrepreneurship, by the way, but I like to tell people that I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm an intrapreneur because I'm so risk averse. But it's worked out fabulously for me.
I think there's 2 components to monetizing your personal brand. And what comes to me is quality and quantity. When we think about quality, focusing on creating quality content, right, that obviously engages with your audience and you're able to build a tribe based upon that quality content. And then quantity is, well, how many followers or how many people are in your tribe, because that is what matters when you're looking to monetize. The more followers, the more people in your tribe, the more you're able to charge for your services. And so when you think about quantity, you have to showcase your audience to potential partners, sponsors, and so on. Well, what's the best way to showcase that is by not sending them to your Instagram or your Twitter account and saying, hey, look how many followers I have, but putting together a media kit, right? So once you have that quality content, you're able to develop a large following, then you can create a media kit that explains your entire digital footprint. You have X number of followers on different social networks, X number of email contacts, X number of impressions on your website. Put all that stuff together and then put it in a media kit, and you can actually solicit, if there's solicit yourself to help amplify someone else's brand or offering. You can first start off with a brand that you just naturally like, have some type of affinity for. Reach out to them and say, hey, I like what you're doing. I want to collaborate with you. My audience can also know about your product or service, and there could be a check that comes along with it. And it just keeps rolling there. And I'm sure, Melinda, you know all about this as well with all the brand deals that you've had. That's one way I think you would be able to start, by focusing on quality and then quantity.